Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chettinad School of Law's webinar on understanding the Indian business environment post COVID 19. On behalf of the Chettinad School of Law, it gives me immense pleasure in welcoming the esteemed speaker of the day, Mr. Samir Shah. Thank you, sir, for being here with us today amidst your busy schedule.
Thank you so much
Mis-
for giving me this opportunity.
It is our pleasure, sir. Mr. Samir Shah, advocate, is a well-known international arbitrator. He is the program director of the Indian branch of the Chartered Institute of Arbitration, London CIR. Sir is also a panel member in the Mainland Hong Kong Joint Mediation Center, Hong Kong, and the Mediation Center, Dubai. He has been associated as a panel mediator, judge, and mentor with different teams participating in the William C. Wiss International Commercial Arbitration Moot Competition and International Moot Competition at Shanghai, China. Mr. Shah regularly conducts training courses for CIR India at Mumbai, Delhi, and Chennai for training professionals as arbitrators. Mr. Shah has represented CIR India in the Commission under the chairmanship of Justice B.N. Sri Krishna to suggest reforms in the arbitration practice and law in India. Sir is a member of the International Bar Association and Inter-Pacific Bar Association and an associate member of the World Trade Center Association and Global Collaborative Law Council USA. Before proceeding with the webinar, just a quick introduction to the Chettinad School of Law. The Chettinad Group, with a legacy of over 60 years in education, have been pioneers in providing progressive learning environment across Tamil Nadu. They are currently responsible for over 12,000 students in 22 private, government-aided schools and colleges for medicine, dentistry, engineering, law, architecture, physiotherapy, nursing, allied health sciences, and pharmaceutical science. Chettinad School of Law is recognized by the BCI and approved by UGC and provides an environment that offers high-quality education through active learning methods, qualified and experienced faculty, and exposure through legal internships. The School of Law is a member of the IUCN Academy of Environmental Law and the International Association of Law Schools. Without further ado, I invite the speaker to share his views on the topic of the webinar. So, sir, what do you think could be the scenario post COVID-19 for general business environment, and what is the way forward, sir?
Uh, a very good evening to all the participants who are listening to this and joining this webinar. Before I share my thoughts on the topic, let me first thank you, the School of Law, the faculty, especially Madam Sina and Ms. Mrinalini, for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts on the topic. And a very special thanks for Dr. Professor Shantakumar sir, who is the director of GNLU, who has given my reference to the School of Law. Uh, so, you see, today we all are in a very tragic, I would say, situation. Since last 2 months, almost all across the globe, people are in lockdown. We have been hearing, gloomy and depressing and very sad news and stories about the virus. It's spreading to various people getting infected. The deaths across the countries, and there is an overall situation of panic, and that is very natural because I think it is almost after a century that the world is facing such a calamity, such a pandemic situation. The last one being in 1918, the Spanish flu. You may have read about it during the course of this lockdown. There were many stories on it. So, situation is definitely very tragic, very serious, and yes, um, people are suffering, obviously because of lockdown and also because of the health issues. And even it is becoming more scarier because of the daily media news. that has been, been thrown to us about the virus and the infection and the death toll. We can compare this situation, I mean, the gloom and the depression in people, what happened in the 2001 earthquake. Uh, this is a similar situation so far as the depression and the depression on the people is concerned. Obviously, this has a very cascading effect on the business as well because everything is locked down. There is no work. Everybody has to stay home. Initially, yes, this was a very good decision by our government to lock down to ensure to avoid the infection being spread because it was being told by the health agencies and authorities across the globe that it is contagious, and therefore it was initially a very good decision by the government to lock down and to stop in somehow the spread of the disease. But over a period of time, after the first and the second lockdown, things have then become quite serious in the sense of the financial terms, in sense of commercial terms. There is now a very severe liquidity crunch in the economy. And I mean, looking from a common man perspective, this is something which no one would ever dream of. I mean, so fortunately for a country like us, we do believe in saving, and so many of us would be in a position to somehow or the other survive this financial crisis. But there are many countries where people don't believe in saving; they don't have it. Even in our country, of course, there is a majority of population, the daily wages, the migrant laborers, workers who survive on daily wages, and they are the person who are most affected by this. And therefore, there is overall a very serious situation to be tackled by any government for that matter. Now, we now know this is a situation. Now what? We have been in lockdown since last almost 2 months, and though there are sort of stories going on, there are assumptions going on that after 15 or 17 the lockdown may be open up, though initially partially, but the thing still remains to be decided finally by the government. So in this situation, what is the way forward? Where do the business stand today, and what they have to do if the economy overall have to again regain its pace? The very first thing what I feel is there has to be a full confidence level to be built up amongst the people, that there has to be this spirit of survival has to be imbibed in the people. Most of us have become so depressed, and we don't know how to do and what to do, what we will be doing. But that is not the solution. We have to be confident that we have survived till date, and we will be surviving anyway in future also. And therefore, that confidence level has to come up. Now, how that confidence level will come up? You see, it is a reality which everyone has to accept that one reason for confidence in such a situation to come up is, of course, material aspect, money. That is most important. See, and how that will come up. Now, today there is a discussion going on. The government has also requested the industry not to cut wages. So, and the government is also coming out with certain, financial and economic stimulus to see that, the workers are being paid off somehow or the other. At least they are given the bare minimum financial needs. However, there is a counter argument by the industry, and not big, but many other industries, small and medium scale industries, that if they are not earning, there is no revenue, there is no business which does wages to the workers. Now, both sides are equally right in their own way. However, there has to be still an answer to be found out, a balance to be arrived at between two equally balanced, equally right situations. Now, how we do that? The one aspect is one solution could be that the government comes out with some kind of support, the financial support, which the government already started with the first phase of the economic stimulus package, which was announced yesterday. The second is, and for me, which is more important, is the industry as such, the employer should, at least for this moment, adopt a human approach, a holistic approach to the overall situation. Today, till date, till the lockdown happened, they were earning. It's not that they were losing it. They were earning, they were surviving, whatever in whatever way they were paying. Let's forget that for these 2 months and at least help the employees, maybe some way or the other. My suggestion is let the employers may not cut the wages. There may be some reduction, but at least make that much level so that the employees can survive to the at least for the bare minimum. Of course, the government has to play a very important part. The industry itself has to play a very important. As I said, the confidence building has to come up, and therefore, what is required is the industry to come together, have this holistic and human approach, at least for these 2 months, and take it ahead. Mind you, this is not the end. This is a very temporary phase. We must understand that this is not the normal situation. Yes, it is a scary, this is a very different situation. Definitely, we must accept that. But this is not the end. So we have to look forward. We have to move forward. You see, the Prime Minister made a speech day before to us to become self-reliant. Now, how do we become self-reliant? The most important aspect to become self-reliant for any country is to invest in its human capital. That is what I would suggest.
Thank you, sir. Now, moving on to the next question. How best is our existing infrastructure to combat COVID-19 and what else can be done? You've already given a few things. Can we elaborate a little bit, sir?
Well, I would answer this in two ways. One, of course, from the economic point of view, and other from the health point of view, which is more important. Now, coming first to the health issue, yes, definitely this is a worldwide health crisis. There is no denying the fact. No country was ever prepared. We are not going into the current political issue of whom to blame or whom not to be blamed, where it started, and all those. That's all debatable. There is nothing concrete coming out of it, and it will never come out. Let's try to face the current situation, what we are having right now. We are definitely having issues with our health infrastructure. We need to build up on the health infrastructure. We need to build up on the testing kits. We need to build up on the testing which is happening. To me, I don't really understand, or I don't believe that there is enough testing is happening. Now, there are different symptoms coming out from new patients who have been infected. They have never shown any symptoms which we knew earlier. So what we call the asymptomatic patients. Now, how do we handle that? There is no planning. There is no kind of a way forward by the concerned department, the ministries, how we are going to tackle it. We have read the news about the hospital beds being increased, the kits being imported from China and other places. PPE kits are also being imported, but are they going to work? Is that the solution? Understand one thing: the vaccine, which is the solution to this health crisis, is not going to be there since maybe a year. I mean, yes, there are news that Israel has done something on it. They have started it, and Italy might have also come out with them. But it is all news. There is nothing concrete. We cannot be sure. So until and unless the vaccine comes into play, that also is not going to solve, because is it possible that all whole global population is going to be vaccinated? It is not possible. It's a it's an impossible task. Forget about global population. Just take example of our own country. 130 crores people. How are we going to do the vaccination? That's next to impossible. So whatever, because of course the population issue, whatever infrastructure is there or is being built up, it's not going to work unless and until we the people ourselves come up with our own set of understandings and our own set of you know understanding of following the rules, understanding the situation, and then following the rules. In the sense, we have to accept that this particular health emergency is going to stay little bit longer with us. But that's not the end, as I said. We need to face it, we need to fight it with, of course, taking precautionary measures. Now, how we do that, and that's what the government is also present: wearing masks, wearing gloves, sanitizing the places, using hand sanitizers, keeping distance. All these facts have to be implemented, and we are on our own should do it rather than expecting the government or the authority. Yeah. So what I was telling is that so it is us who has to take this responsibility now for our own safety. The government is doing its bit, and it will be doing it, but that is not going to work alone. We have to go hand in hand with the government.
Thank you, sir. So, how do you think the legal practice will change after COVID-19?
Ah, yes. I think that would be the interesting question for most of the listeners and those who are participating in the webinar. As I said that these are very different and unimaginable situations, and it has affected all across all sectors, including the legal industry as such. Things have become very gloomy. You take it from a law firm perspective, you take it from individual lawyers perspective. Everybody is facing extreme, serious situations as work is concerned, finance is concerned. You know, is in a very difficult situation. But they, even in this difficult situation, we have to still think positive aspect of how better we can adapt to this current situation and what is going to come. Let's try to do this adaptation right away, starting from now. And that has actually started virtual practice, what we call online court system, which has started. Supreme Court and various high court across the country are, functioning on online, doing that online cases. So definitely, yes, it has evolved into this new technology, and to an extent, this is going to stay. So this particular online legal practice is a very important and now more upcoming aspect of legal practice, which the law students as well as the lawyers must adapt. Now, there are, however, certain issues into this. Now, let me just go one by one on that. You see, this was nothing new for the world as such, and even to certain extent in our country. But yes, it is definitely new so far as the way the courts are now functioning, and so far now what we will be doing henceforth. But it was all this for online, you say online, you are virtual. It's all because of compulsion. It's all because of compulsion of lockdown. That is why we are compelled to follow this. And that is why initially, probably we may have been liking it. But then after some time, and I'm very sure many of you would be, having the same kind of experience feeling that this is not working. I mean, you're not actually getting that feeling of work, the satisfaction of, having a meeting as such. And that's very normal. And the reason being, you see, human beings are social, we say man is a social animal. And now we are being taught or we are being imposed with a term called social distancing. Now, this is totally contradictory. What I would say, instead of social distancing, there cannot be social distancing. What has to be used is physical distancing. You are actually making a physical distance, not social. That's a very wrong notion. Secondly, what we have been again hearing is virtual court. There's nothing called virtual court. Virtual is never actual, but actual. So what picture? Now let us understand what is the advantages of this virtual. And I'll also add to what the legal practice would be doing now. So let's first understand the advantage. If we go when you go online, if we do this on this kind of online, it helps you in cutting the cost. Cost in sense of both the infrastructure, in sense of even fees, because those expenses of let's say traveling and all goes down, right? Then it helps you save time. Now today you can connect with anyone anywhere with this technology online. Time is not a constraint on online, which used to be when you were doing actual. But time is now not a constraint. Let me give you an example here. Last month, I did an international mediation where my client was in London. Sorry, my client was in Philippines. The opposite client was in London. His attorney was in Nigeria. I was in India, and the mediator was sitting in New Zealand. So we connected all these different time zones, and for me, the time was 3 a.m. In early morning. But still, we did it. So you see, it all depends upon you. So this would not have been possible if there would have been an actual, you know, proceeding, in-person proceeding. But in online, it can happen. Then it is faster and it is flexible. So these are some of the advantages of this online what is happening nowadays, which is going to become the norm at least for some time to come. However, at the same time, there are equal disadvantages. Number one, the proceedings, if we talk from a court perspective, it loses the spontaneity. You see, in court, when you argue, it is spontaneous to a certain extent. You may have read the brief, you may have prepared yourself, but then those arguments are spontaneous. Here, it is not. You have to have some basic online etiquette. You're not supposed to speak in between. You have to keep your microphone mute. Even you don't have to give your reactions. So all that spontaneity in an argument goes down. It is all out. Secondly, you need a very robust IT infrastructure. Now today we are somehow surviving on 3G, but it's not going to work. Just now it happened, the network went down and there was a break in between this live session. So we need a very robust and efficient IT infrastructure, which is not there. But then you see, when you are in person and in court proceedings and even in ADR proceedings, the body language, the eye contact, these are some very important tools, both for the bench and for the bar, to strategize the arguments, to place different issues, and then to make submissions. But all these are lost. You see, when you are online, to an extent, you become very self-conscious. You become very self-conscious of your expression, the way you are speaking, the way you're looking. You have to have some basic etiquette. You have to maintain that kind of a neutral expression because everything is caught on camera. So, but that is not in person. I mean, in person, when you are there in court, you may relax a bit. I mean, you may do some hand gestures and all, which is all okay, but that is not online because everything is caught on camera. So you have to be very, very self-conscious, and that may, actually the disadvantage is when you are making a submission. It loses the privacy. Now, many times in court proceedings or even in ADR proceedings, the senior counsel is briefed by the junior on some points. But how you do it online? You can't do that. Okay? And there are time limits. I was just reading a very interesting article by Honorable Justice Pratibha Singh of Delhi High Court on the online court system which is being now prevalent in India, as the Delhi High Court. But then what it mentions one aspect is that the time slots are given to the lawyers and the counsel to make submissions. Now, this actually is a restriction. I mean, in person, there might, I mean, it may to certain extent be unjustified, unfair, where the litigant or the counsel may not be able to present its case fully within that time slot. Yes, of course, it's a good way of practice. If you have to learn that, because many times in courts, time is wasted by lengthy arguments, unnecessary lengthy arguments. But yes, still, you need some sufficient reasonable time to present your case, but that may not happen online. So all said and done, there are equal advantages as well as disadvantages. And in my view, this is not the norm. This is not going to be the future. Of course, this is going to be there for some time to come. What we have to do is to combine this with the normal process to take most advantages of this. Understand one thing, this situation is not going to be there for long. Definitely there would be a way out of this, and we have to find a way out of this. We have to fight it. So don't take this as a normal situation. Don't get panicked. This is not going to be the way forward. Yes, take advantage from this situation of whatever way I just suggested to you. Use that in your normal way because things are going to become normal for sure, maybe in 2 3 months time, at least slowly. But yes, things are going to become normal. So take advantage of this, try to adapt, and don't panic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now, coming on to the last question, sir. What do you think will be the impact of COVID-19 on our daily lives?
Well, as I said, you see, it has already started having impact. I mean, thanks to the media, because media is not reporting anything except COVID and the issues related thereto. But there are issues which is already started, like domestic violence and many other issues, which is not being reported by the media. But yes, there are issues which like this, which are serious enough, and it actually goes to break the social fabric as such. It is spoiling family life. It is adding more to the depression, to the mental issues of the people as such. So, and again, just to tell you about whether this online thing is good or bad. You see, today, if you are just online, let's say for 8 hours, it affects your eyes. It affects your sitting and your body as such. So there will be these many issues which is coming. If we take this as a norm, then these other, physical, mental, and health issues will come up. People will be having, I mean, will start having issues with their eyes, their eyesight, and lot of things. I mean, we have the earlier studies coming up how the radiation maybe from the television or even from phone is affecting the eyes. Even if you put those filters on your screen, still it affects you. So these are the issues which I mean normally um human body cannot endure for long, and we cannot because we are not used to it. Like I am sitting with this my headphones on, I cannot sit for more than an hour or two. I need a break for that. So these are the issues which we need to understand. Is it going to be the way for it? No. What we have to do, as I said, is to take advantage from these. Let's say, I give you an example. Maybe the online part can be used. Let's say, example of mediation and arbitration. We can use online platform till the time the pleadings are being exchanged, the preliminary issues are being decided, and only for specific final hearings or taking evidence only the in-person can be used. So you are cutting on time, you are cutting on cost, you are taking advantage of the technology as well as you are also doing the normal way of doing it. So it overall has a very balancing effect. So these are the things which we need to understand. We need to adapt to this situation. That is what I would say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable inputs with us and giving us a whole new perspective about this topic. And concluding this session with Henry Ford's words, anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. So thank you, sir, for helping us stay young. And on behalf of the Chettinad School of Law, thank you again for joining us for today's session, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
And thank you to all of you who tuned in. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.